The ideas that gave birth to our nation are the ideas that our nation is resistant to right now, and we should talk about that all the time.
In a world where narratives are shaped by corporations and gatekeepers, independent voices matter more than ever. Badlands Media brings together citizen journalists, researchers, and independent thinkers.
The truth is triggering.
Question the narrative. Explore the facts.
It's authenticity, courage, resilience.
Search for the truth others won't.
It's not about being first or being right.
The information war is changing.
It's about being authentic.
Embrace the friction.
Embrace the friction.
Shut the f*** up.
Authentically antagonizing. Join the movement.
I'm going to say how I feel.
Follow Badlands Media.
This is about the future.
The Badlands. What are the Badlands? Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Mr. Vice President, I'm going off script again, I know, but I just want to personally thank you. We've been through some stuff. We've gone through some of the most complex military operations this country's ever conducted, and your steady hand and your leadership during those was a great source of strength for me. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your character. Thank you for your selfless service. Thank you for commitment. Thank you for being a mentor to me, Mr. Vice President.
It's called the swamp. And you know what happened? And you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it. Did I get that one right? Every 4 years, we gather on these steps to carry out the orderly and peaceful transfer of power. Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, but we are transferring power further. We will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you. If we are right about the fraud, Joe Biden can't be president.
Congress, the chair declares the joint session.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Devolution Power Hour, the Wednesday edition. As always, and unfortunately, I am joined by Burning Bright. Burning Bright, how are you doing this Wednesday, hump day evening?
Not too bad. Just, I don't know.
What do you got going on with your beard there? Like on that one?
No, I just noticed that. Well, I'm aging and dying, but besides that, I don't know why only on this one particular section.
Like, did you shave everything but that spot? Looks very more prominent, like than anything else.
It's like Rogue from the X-Men. It's just, when my powers act up at times.
I get some of that too. Like the weird, like random gray spot, but that looks longer than everywhere else in your beard.
I think it is. It's because I have a horrible electric razor, and I need to get like a good one, so I avoid using it. And because it's one of the best investments you can make.
Yeah. Like I've had the same razor or buzzer, whatever you call it, electric razor for like 10 years. And when my first one died, I went and bought the same one that I had previously, and none of like the new models because I love it.
Do you change the blades on it?
No. Are you supposed to?
Well, I don't know. That's why mine was good for like a year and is now horrible. People are like, change the blades. They're like, you shouldn't have to change the blades on an electric thingy.
You probably do. I know when you buy it, it comes with like oil and a little brush, and you're probably supposed to like do things to it, but
yeah. That's bullshit.
Yeah, I agree. But anyway, it should be a fun show. We got more declassified documents today, and there's some fun ones because they're focused on the Biden family corruption, which is hilarious because the last week has been filled of talk of Hunter Biden going on Tucker Carlson and this little redemption tour, and how Tucker just like completely rolled over. I was like, oh yeah, you are the victim, Hunter. And then they declassified these documents. Actually, they were declassified on my birthday, August 4th, and they just released them today. So it's like they were waiting. It's as if they knew Tucker was going to be interviewing Hunter, and they waited for the interview to come out, and so that he could play victim. And they're like, yeah, Tucker, you're an idiot. Here's all the proof.
Hunter is just a strange guy too. Like the way he comes off on those interviews, it's not quite cringe, but it's not interesting, I feel like. I mean, I might be alone in that, but I don't know. I don't get a whole lot out of it, so I don't think the redemption tour is going exactly how they want it to. Like, he's trying to do the whole renegade thing, but he just comes off very strange either way.
He's a weird dude. He was telling the story. I only watched a little bit of it. I fast forwarded to the part where they specifically talked about his laptop, and then maybe 10 minutes after that part. And by the way, people in the chat are saying that
they say they can't hear me well.
Yeah, I changed your audio thing to auto, so it should be better. But am I coming off too loud?
You sound normal to me, and I sound normal to me. But
Here, now try talking.
Adjust thing. Usually I turn that off.
Try talking.
Am I sounding more normal now? Chat.
Maybe turn up your gain a hair. See, normally like you get so.
I've kept the gain down. Yeah, usually people are like, it's too loud.
Yeah, because it's mostly your fault because you just start yelling randomly at the audience about retarded stuff.
Well, don't stay in line and you won't get yelled at. Sounds fine. Some people saying. See, I normally take the audio. Maybe let me change the angle.
See, everybody in the chat's a producer. That's the problem here.
Saying better. Ash says fine.
Okay, so now we know something's wrong.
Do you do the auto thing?
Yeah, I have it on auto, but I have like a legit mic setup, and you don't. So
I got this at Best Buy 4 years ago, man, for like $80, $60 maybe.
Yeah, turn up your gain just a hair, and we'll be fine. And if I need to turn it down later, we can. But anyway, I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, I listened to like the Biden thing where they talked about the laptop, and he's like, they didn't, the laptop getting dropped off. That's not everything. I was hacked in the cloud or whatever. But then he goes on to start talking about how he met his current wife. He was apparently, I thought this was the creepiest story I've ever heard, but they tried to pass it off as if it was like super romantic. They're like, yeah, I was in this courtyard or something, and I saw this girl look at me, and I went up to her and it's like, I'm in love with you. And then like they talked for 3 hours and they got married 10 days later. Like,
yeah, it's like, how many women did you do that with, and what happened to them before this one? I turned up my gain slightly.
They'll figure it out.
BB sounds more distant. Do you mean emotionally, spiritually, or auditorily?
Or mentally?
Mentally. Although Mrs. Wright, and many know the story, did actually come up to me as a stranger and say, why are you being such a creep?
Yeah, I mean,
which is
I feel like you probably get that a lot.
That's fair, but this one stayed around. I didn't have to bury the body.
Oh, funny. Anyway, yeah, we are going to spend some time going through the new declassified documents. There's a bunch of other random things we could venture into. A lot of interesting things kind of going on, but I think the focus will be the new declassified documents because there's a whole bunch of tangents we could go on with that. Today on my show, I started with that, and it took up like 50 minutes. It took up pretty much the whole show just talking about that. So I think with your track record of being able to talk for hours on end, I think we'll be able to spend quite a bit of time on this. Yeah. But let's get a quick word from our sponsors. But before we even do that, do us a favor, guys. Head on over to YouTube. Make sure you go to YouTube. Give us a follow and hit that thumbs up preemptively. You know it's going to be a good show. And we truly appreciate it. I'll even post that link in here really quick. And yeah, I did an interview today with a guy who's only YouTube. It's Crypto Rich or Crypto Rick. I still don't know.
Rich Does Politics, I think.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. It was originally Crypto Rich, and now it's Rich Does Politics. But I did an interview with him today. That's going to be airing only on YouTube, because that's where he's at. So Make sure you guys are following us over there because that'll show up in our playlist at some point. But anyway, first up tonight, we got some soft disclosure. Speaking of speaking softly, soft disclosure.
Soft Disclosure deodorant is made with purity-tested ingredients like organic arrowroot powder, magnesium hydroxide, and nourishing plant oils. This deodorant keeps you fresh without covering up the truth. Activated charcoal works like a magnet to help draw out impurities, while green matcha tea brings antioxidant power to protect and calm skin. Aluminum-free, stain-free, and formulated to last up to 2 months of daily use.
Whole bus fresh, no stank on me. Soft Disclosure got me clean. Fresh so loud, can't compete. Mint, lemon, grapefruit, lavender tea.
It helps fight odor without blocking the body's natural sweat. And every purchase helps support 6 American small businesses. Buy 2 deodorants, get a free lip balm. Or visit softdisclosure.com and use promo code FRESH for 15% off.
What are you doing?
Soft Disclosure got me clean. Fresh so loud, can't compete.
Softdisclosure.com. I missed the promo code, but soft disclosure is awesome. My kids, they're being hilarious right now. They're taking my existing like soft disclosure that I have, like the lavender and the citrus and the unscented, and they're like mixing them together and claiming that they've created their own lotion line, and they're trying to sell it back to me for $10 a squirt. I'm like, you little capitalists. I love it, but
That's
also
awesome. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to serve you guys with a lawsuit for something.
Yeah, you
yeah.
got to get them warmed up on the lawsuit stuff early because we know it's coming. They're next.
Yeah, but it's so funny how excited they are. My son wants to create a lotion business. We were talking about lotion vats earlier and how much it costs to buy, and
we have skewed
margins.
the perspective of a very select niche of Americans as to just the like how there's only 2 kind of businesses you can go into. It's basically media or lotion.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else. Like those are the 2 things. Those are the things we've chosen. And
I mean, there's plenty of other things, but there's nothing else worth doing. We'll put it that way.
Right. Yeah.
But the great thing about it is, if my kids are obsessed with lotion, you should be too, because the products are so great, and the deodorant and the beard oil. Softdisclosure.com. Again, there's so many promo codes we got going right now, but Ash is in the chat. She probably knows the promo code.
And I think the people complain. I listened to myself a little bit during that last minute, and it sounded more normal. So you guys might be behind in the stream. Either way,
Ash,
I'll
what's the
probably
promo
get mad
code?
at some point, and it'll be louder.
Somebody in the chat tell me the promo code, so I don't have to play the commercial again. Birthday might still be working. Birthday still might be working because it was a 17% discount on my birthday. So try that.
We could just keep it going because my birthday is in 2 days.
Oh yeah, promo code FRESH. Thank you, Tattoo Teacher. Oh yeah, your birthday's coming up. This is the first year in a couple of years we haven't had a GART over your birthday.
I know. It
You're
does feel
welcome.
Weird. August, I'm like something is missing.
Yeah. We have FRESH as a promo code. We have Badlands, and we have Bad Rands. That's one of my favorites. It's the Chinese version of Badlands.
Oh, okay.
Bad Rands. Anyway, we'll have a couple more sponsors here probably in a little bit, but I think we should just start plugging away. You know what? Before we even do that, you know what? Let me play this clip of John Solomon, because if you're not on the rug, maybe you should be. Just kidding. You should not be on this rug.
Now.
What was that?
There's a lot of rugs around to select from right now. There's a menagerie of rugs.
Menagerie. That's such a fun word.
Bazaars full of them.
Such a fun word. Okay, let's let me find it. Man, we've been busy. It's been a busy week in news, ironically. I have one John Solomon clip, I have a Trump clip, and then we can get into the new declassified files. Let me share my screen. All right, here we go. Take a listen, everybody.
Or let's just say will we finally see perp walks? Will these people be held to account?
Yeah, well, we're seeing perp walks, right, for criminals. Now the question is, will we see perp walks for those who clearly were abusing the color of law and the color of government authority to carry out political vendettas? I think so. There is a very active grand jury in Fort Pierce, Florida. You don't call a grand jury and start hauling witnesses before it unless you have a crime or two or three or four that you're investigating. The activity down in Fort Pierce has been very fast-paced. It's really accelerating under Joe DeGeneva, the Special Assistant U.S. Attorney down there. It looks to me like an operation that probably would be in a position to make some indictment decisions before Labor Day or just after Labor Day. There's been some holdups. Obviously, there's some evidence that the prosecutors have wanted from the Senate. They don't have it yet, so they got to squeeze that out of the Senate. But they've been securing some cooperation from some very important witnesses that used to work in the FBI or the intelligence community. And it's walking and talking like a duck that intends to deliver some accountability. So you never know how a grand jury will indict or not indict. But all the activity in Fort Pierce looks like a prosecutor and a grand jury that's building a criminal case that could result in probably more than just one charge. I think you may see multiple people charged over the next 6 months to a year.
Multiple people charged over the next. We just got to wait another 6 months to a year, guys. That's all we got to do.
Is that Superman guy?
It kind of looks like it. But apparently it's
Superman
Eric
guy.
Bowling.
No.
It does look like it, but it says Eric Bowling.
I don't know the Superman guy's name.
That does not look like the same guy.
Dean Cain?
That looks like Dean Cain.
Right? That's got to be Dean Cain.
I don't know. It's hard to tell.
People be held to account.
But yeah, that has to be Dean Cain.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's
We could-
Dean Cain. I
we
didn't
could
know
spend
he
the
was
rest
a
of the show.
pundit now because
Yeah.
he got canceled that hard.
Yeah, to go to real America's
He got
Place.
canceled from being a TV Superman all the way to our corner.
That's pretty far.
He seems based, but man.
Yeah, but anyway, so there's the rug laying it out for you. And speaking of grand juries, this is a pretty interesting news story today. DOJ convenes rare special grand jury in Washington, D.C. The Justice Department has quietly convened a special grand jury in Washington, a rarely used legal weapon that could let federal prosecutors dig into some of the biggest and most explosive cases in the Capitol. Unlike a regular grand jury, the special one can drop a public report naming people even if prosecutors decide they don't have enough evidence to charge anyone. The bar is only a preponderance of the evidence of wrongdoing. Anyone named gets a chance to testify and call their own witnesses. These juries are reserved for unusual cases, such as investigations of government officials, broad conspiracies, or organized criminal activity. Corruption cases that prosecutors deemed to be linked to could qualify as the latter. The 23 jurors focus on one case or a cluster of related ones instead of a usual mixed docket. They require a formal request from the Attorney General or their designee and the approval from the district's chief judge, who in D.C. is James E. Boasberg. That is a noted douchebag, I will say, that guy. But the panel generally lasts 18 months. It can be extended up to a total of 36 months. The one thing I'm not too trying not to get on this particular rug either, because you shouldn't be on any rugs. But how long have we heard from everybody that well, you'll never get a good jury in Washington. You'll never get a jury of people that will do anything in Washington, D.C. That was the excuse we were told about Durham and why he didn't bring any charges. We've heard that excuse so many times. So let's not get too excited about this special grand jury because it's still the same jury pool. It's still Washington, D.C. But it is a new and interesting step. Maybe it could lead to something. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, another little thing I didn't know about these that I found in I think it was WAPO who had originally reported this, or at least that's what I was reading. Said, WAPO?
Was it Washington Post or Washington Post?
It's the Washington Post.
Okay.
So apparently special grand juries can issue reports. And we know how much we love documents and reports, which regular grand juries cannot. So as boring as that sounds, I was reading up on that a little bit earlier today, and essentially what they're saying is even if the jury doesn't levy charges or bring charges, if just a simple majority of the grand jury decides a report is warranted, they can, far as I understand, they can essentially say whatever they want to the public about what they think about the figures involved, etc. And that's just kind of interesting because obviously in a grand jury where no charges are brought, you can't say anything. I've served on a grand jury, and obviously, like, you could just Google this, but they're pretty damn strict about that kind of stuff. So I don't know why. I don't really understand why that's the case, but I thought it was interesting that the media seemed to be focusing in on that aspect of things. Like the fact that it was a special grand jury, they didn't seem to think, well, they didn't say that they knew anything that it was about, but they didn't seem to be talking about it as if they expect these charges to be coming out. But they were like, it's kind of weird. Why would you convene a special grand jury unless something was going to come out of it? Is the something that's going to come out of it just a report? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, that'd be super homosexual. If like, okay, we're supposed to be on the grand jury rug down in Florida, the Rico Grande, like that's the rug we're supposed to be on. And now they're going to give us this potential special grand jury thing where they can give us a report. Like if we get the strongly worded report over any actual indictments, that'll be super lame. And hey, I'm a document guy too. I love reports.
Yeah.
I love reading those things.
Yeah.
So it's not like I wouldn't be excited about that, but I don't want that in lieu of any actual justice or accountability. And I'm skeptical we get that in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm. One of the long running rugs, I think, that some of us have been on is sort of the IG rug, the military rug, these kinds of things. And anytime I see some of this stuff when it comes to DC grand juries and all that, if whatever timeline we're looking at, as you referenced with Solomon, has been clearly longer than any of us thought originally. That could be a forever rug. But another way of looking at it is the ultimate hopium take would be, are they burning out and exhausting, they meaning whoever's trying to bring justice, are they burning out and exhausting basically every DOJ avenue that they can in order to exhaust those options to pave the way for mandate, to retroactively codify that mandate or need to do things in a different direction? The reason I would say that is like threefold here. Number one, it's Washington, D.C., as you said, with the jury pool. Number two, it's Boasberg that's being name dropped here. And then number three, even Pirro was, Trump was, shitting all over her a week ago.
2 days ago, yeah.
Yeah, right. So, all of that is negative from our framing. One way of looking at it is we could be surprised and he's granting narrative shielding to the court system and they are going to come out with something. More likely, they're going to do exactly what Trump has kind of set the expectation of them doing. It's not going to be a surprise how many of these things start to pile up before we start to look at the justice system, specifically the court system and the judges, with the same sort of mentality that we at Badlands largely look at the election system, right? We've been talking for years about not being able to trust the election system. Why do I even know as an American citizen, apart from MAGA, why do I know the names of any of these people? Why do I know the names of these judges? Why do I know the names of these prosecutors? I shouldn't know fucking anybody's name. If we had I'm not saying for privacy reasons, I'm saying if we had a functioning justice system, none of it would be relevant. The partisan politicking of judges and prosecutors would not be relevant to any story involving any case or any grand jury. Jurisdictions wouldn't matter. This is all very obvious, but if part of the Trump exposure era is all about exposing how fake and gay US elections are, it stands to reason another massive pillar of that era, if not a bigger one, is our justice system is fake and does not deliver justice, even when the president and the FBI and the military has presented all of the justice of treason or all of the justice of these crimes to the US court system. They are partisans that are there specifically to block the president's agenda. They are not there to advance it.
Yeah. And the weird thing about this, like I was looking earlier, I haven't found a single actual like precedent for this type of special grand jury being used. So I think you're right about they're using every avenue they can to try to pursue justice or at least expose this stuff. The declassifications, I think, are on the target. I'm loving it. If you go to the White House website, I thought this is almost comical. You go to the election integrity subsection or whatever, the subheading, and if you look at the actual declassifications here, these aren't any actual exposure of tangible manipulation of the elections. Like when people think we need to fix our elections, you think we need the voter ID, we need to address problems there, we need to fix the machines, we need to fix ballot harvest, all these things. But every one of these things is the weaponized intelligence community, which is exactly what I was hoping it would be. But they put under this election integrity subset, and I think that's great. And we should get into this new story because it's pretty crazy. The FBI had 14 informants on Biden corruption, but they ran a secret op to dismiss evidence as disinformation. The Bureau secretly flagged cabinet officials like Bill Barr and Mike Pompeo, lawmakers and journalists as conduits for Russian propaganda. 14 separate, different, unique informants they had against the Joe Biden family, the Biden crime family, the corruption, the scandals, everything. And instead of actually pursuing those things or trying to verify whether any of those, the things that they were bringing forth were legitimate, they buried him. They hid him, covered up for the Biden family. With Trump on the other side of that, not only did they not have any single legitimate confidential human source with any evidence against Trump that he was colluding with Russia's, they actually had their confidential human sources telling them that Hillary Clinton paid to have that thing drummed up. Like, that's what their confidential human sources were saying. And instead they're like, okay, well, we better dive deep into that. That's legitimate. We better dive deep into that. Like, this is such a good example of the two-tiered system of justice, the weaponized intelligence community, totally fabricating and going along with stories against Donald Trump, the guy they were trying to delegitimize for now 10 years plus, and then completely burying legitimate stuff against the Biden family. And it's super interesting. There may even be Hunter Biden was an intel asset in here, but not a good one. Not a good one. But I think that's in here. I think you'll like that.
No such thing as a good intel asset. They're all filthy. But stupidly, one of the things that just caught my eye in this report is the terminology of conduits and targets. I just kind of, you could play a total inversion game and just go flip those, and then reread the same report out of the intel agencies. Who were the conduits? Who were the targets? But, I think it's just interesting terminology that Intel is using. And I actually wrote a brief that came out today called Mother Russia MUH. It was exceedingly clever. A few people thought it was funny. But part of the reason I've written about that a few times, like once a year, I'll write something about that because obviously I'm interested in the Russia narrative. And I'm interested anytime the Russia collusion hoax comes up again in real tangible forms like it is here when you've got documents and disclosures and intel agencies on either side talking about it in the context of where is the public narrative at between Trump and Putin now. Because it has always felt to me for years that if we get a real public explosion on the back of the Russia collusion hoax and justice for it, it's going to be convergent with a step change in the public narrative between Trump and Russia, or a convergence between them. I mean, maybe it could lead to that convergence, so I have the order of operations wrong, but I look at either one. Russia collusion hoax comes up, and I kind of look at what's going on between Trump and Putin right now, or Trump and Putin come up, and I look at what's going on with the Russia collusion hoax in terms of where are we at in terms of disclosures. So I've been joking for many years, and it's not a joke, that I think Russia collusion was real and it was a good thing. And I think it's interesting whenever intel assets are using terminology like conduits and targets, because I don't know, they might be able, I don't discount the possibility that these bad weaponized intel assets can connect all of the people they say they can connect to Russian intelligence. It's just that what you think about that entirely depends on what you think that means.
I guess I don't even know what you mean right now.
We've been told going back last year, I think this was coming out of the Solomon 2025 disclosures, that the Russians had a whole dossier, not the Steele dossier. The Russians had an entire workup on Hillary Clinton and all of her proclivities and all the dangers she was going to pose to Russia and everything. So, and then the bad intel assets, the ones that are being cited in reports like this, are talking about Russia sharing intelligence with Trump allies. And I think sometimes the MAGA community is like, no, there is a wall. There's a wall. There is either Trump is a Russian spy or all of this is fake. And I think the best lies, the most effective lies by Intel, is to take real bits of information and then change the framing of that information. In other words, what if the Russians did have intelligence about Hillary Clinton, such as that she's a traitor to the United States, and shared that intelligence with certain Americans? That would not be illegal, that would not violate anything, and that would not be a bad thing. But it would represent collusion between, or at least they could frame it as collusion between a campaign and foreign intelligence. And again, that's just a theory of mine.
Yeah, there's no evidence to necessarily support that at this point.
It's just, I think the reason I play with it so much is because it's either that the bad guy intel apparatus, it really was just so stupid and arrogant where they literally made everything up from day one. Like all of it's made up. There's nothing in it.
That's exactly what it is.
It could be, but
it is.
Maybe it is that stupid. But,
yeah, it is. Or what though? You can keep going.
Well, we know that Flynn was meeting with Russians, so that's an example of like that's not a bad thing. I'm saying. So when they're issuing a report about violations of the Logan Act, I think it was at that time, they're not lying about the initial framing. Like General Flynn was in a room with Russians or was communicating with the Russians during the incoming Trump administration, which is totally fine, and none of us has a problem with that. So I've just always thought, do they know more of that was going on? And that's how they've tried to paper over all of this crap and intel sharing.
Well, actually, earlier this week, Monday, we got another set of declassified documents we got this Monday was them opening up an investigation into Jeff Sessions. And one of the things they used was he during his confirmation hearing, he was asked a bunch of questions, like if he met with Russians or all these things. And it turns out he did, but he met with like the Russian ambassador Kislyak a couple times. And based on Trump's tweets, those meetings were arranged by the Obama administration. And the same guy had gone to the White House like 22 times, the same Russian ambassador. It's like a normal thing. If you remember, I did an interview with the guy, why can't I think of his name? Tim Burchett. And he was talking about how it's a normal thing for members of Congress to meet with dignitaries from foreign countries. That's like routine. And you're right, like an incoming campaign, a transition, you're going to be meeting with your counterparts in other countries. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
They use those as data points to try to, further the made up story that they knew was made up. Like they had this dossier of Russia collusion, all these things. They tried to fabricate some of those things through Rodney Jaffe and other ways with the Clinton campaign. But they used some of those real connections as like, damaging optics to try to further that narrative. The Russians, for instance, they did have intelligence on Hillary Clinton. Like every country out there with an intelligence community or in agencies, they're going to come up and create dossiers on potential future leaders of other countries. Russia had one on Hillary for sure, with damaging information on there. They had one on Trump as well. They probably had one on all the candidates on both sides every election cycle. Rubio, Jeb Bush, like whoever, Bernie Sanders. That's like just standard practice for intelligence agencies to do. Whether or not there's any actual collusion with the Trump campaign in a good way, I mean, for one, I don't know that Trump necessarily even needed that. And I totally buy into the theory that like Trump and Putin and Trump and some of these other countries are working together, and it would make sense that they're sharing intelligence. Like the whole defector Dong Jingwei story.
Yeah.
Like that is much more of
like
an intelligence transfer than an actual like defection, right? Like stuff like that. But speaking of like what's in the news this week, we have the release of the prisoner, the guy from Russia, where the story was Trump was working with Putin to get that guy released, and it finally happened. But
and the timing of those, man, what was the other story? The timing of this stuff last week and this week, there was like back to back the same day some sort of anti-Russian narrative that hits the mainstream mediascape, and then within an hour or two, you have like a Trump Russia narrative or a Trump administration Russia narrative that is a positive. Last week it was more Russia collusion crap coming out, and then it was related to this stuff, and then it was Kash Patel puts out a press release talking about international coordination on intelligence sharing, international criminal, all this kind of stuff between the U.S., Russia, and China. So I like seeing when they kind of back to back these things. And today, I don't know if you know what the other story was. Maybe it was just this, but they came out with the prisoner release, which was a positive. It indicates Trump communicating with Putin, but those things are hitting right as the media is trying to drum up the Russia collusion type of stuff. So, and I totally agree with you, by the way, when it comes to, I don't think Trump needed, like in 2020 or 2016 needed the intelligence or anything. It's more, the way I've played with a lot of this stuff, going back to the Righteous Russia series, is if the Sovereign Alliance theory holds any weight, and more to the point, if it goes back further than Trump became president and then cultivated a relationship with Vladimir Putin, I find that a little harder to believe that those guys had no contact, or via back channels, or their people had no contact with each other. You've pointed out, like going back to the 80s, Trump referencing the Russians. Now, was he part of a squad with Vladimir Putin in 1987? I don't know. We'll probably never know. But did he know who Vladimir Putin was in the 90s? Do we really think Trump didn't think about American politics and global politics until 2015? We know he was doing the interview gamut in the late 80s with a very nuanced view of global politics, all of which his specific views obviously have gone viral from those years now because they're so relevant to the countries we're dealing with. So I've always played with the idea of, did the deep state, the FBI, the DOJ that was terrified of the incoming Trump administration in 2016, did they just throw darts at a board and say, Americans are suspicious of Russians, let's make it a Russia collusion story? Or did they know that there was coordination between certain Americans and between the Putin administration, and they knew some of that stuff would come out at some point, or they could hold on to some of that stuff, and that is why they chose Russia as the country to run the playbook against? I mean, I've just always played with that. They have known, I mean, the thing, I was Russia pilled before I was Trump pilled, when I was still a disaffected liberal, and I've said going back to 2014 when I kind of woke up to the Russia stuff, the Obama administration and basically the US machine was fully into their acceleration narrative against Vladimir Putin. And then Trump comes in and they try to saddle Putin with Trump or Trump with Putin. So, I don't know. It just makes me think they knew there was a there, and they were trying to almost prevent the coming together publicly of Trump and Putin by using the Russia collusion narrative. It wasn't just about damaging Trump.
I mean, what you're saying, it's not far off base. Like, it's total possibility. But I do think you're oversimplifying, like at least the documents that we have. You know, I'm a documents guy, right? And I've like read all the reports. I've read the Durham report. I've read the OIG on Comey. I've read all of it, the declassified stuff, everything. And like there's a real paper trail of Hillary Clinton campaign once they figure out that Trump is going to be the president. And I think they had one on Rubio too, or maybe it was Ted Cruz. They were like working on a dossier when he became the president. They like, okay, we're gonna build this Russia collusion story to vilify Trump. And I think because the Clinton campaign did that, and they paid for this dossier, and they had so many stokes in the fire for that, that the intelligence community they just ran with it. And they'd already done a pretty good job. Like they wanted to overthrow Putin in Russia. They wanted to get rid of him. They tried to color revolution him out of there. And so they went back to the old Cold War, like Russia's the bad guy, Russia's the boogeyman. They stuck with that because it was so ingrained in the American psyche, and a lot of people fell for it. But it's so much more nuanced than the way you described it, like, because it wasn't just the Clinton campaign and what they did. It was ignoring other intelligence, like the weaponized intelligence community, the FBI, the CIA, the DNI's office, all these people, Clapper, Brennan, like, it was so dirty and nefarious, and they're not stupid. Like, that's the thing. These people are not stupid. I think they got maybe a little overconfident with some of the things they did, and they probably thought they'd be more successful at separating Trump from his base and delegitimizing him. I don't think they realized the spirit that Trump awoken in the MAGA movement and everything, because they couldn't do it. Even when Trump was out of office during the devolution period, they couldn't do it no matter how they attacked him. They could not delegitimize Trump. He just came back stronger. But there was like, it's such a, like, almost an egotistical, it's just weird. Like, for instance, the Monday story that came out, the declassified documents, the March toll, James Comey gets fired on May 9th by Trump. And they blame it on, how he handled the Clinton investigation and the public comments he made about it. But Comey was just a deep state stooge. Trump knew it. They all knew it. After he's fired, Jeff Sessions calls over Andy McCabe from his office, 5 p.m. on that, I think it was a Monday or whatever, March 9th, May 9th. McCabe comes over to his office. Rod Rosenstein's there, his chief of staff, I think Crowley, and Sessions. And Sessions tells McCabe, like, hey, we just fired Comey. You are going to be the new acting director of the FBI. And, in his book, McCabe talks about, like, how he's going to uphold the Constitution and all these super flowery gay bullshit, whatever. And then literally the very next day, not even 24 hours later, McCabe opens up an investigation into Jeff Sessions on whether or not he is colluding with Russia. Like, the balls on him to do that is just astounding. And then Rod Rosenstein being in the room for all of that, the whole Rod Rosenstein, like, these people are just disgusting. No, he's not. None of these people are. I don't care what Q says. I don't care if
he didn't say that, by the way.
Okay.
Or they didn't. But again, this is where people just run with their interpretation of information, and then that is, I don't know where the wires are getting crossed. I don't disagree with anything you just said. I don't think that what I'm saying is a simplification. I'm literally suggesting that there is a vast, grand conspiracy, not just to damage Donald Trump, but specifically to stop Donald Trump and Russia from coming together publicly.
Where you oversimplified it is, like, you were like, okay, well, there's either this thing where they're really stupid and do all the stupid stuff, or like, it's that part of it is the oversimplification, and that part of it that you're oversimplifying is, like, it's laid out. There's a document. We're getting more of it by the day now with this recent White House task force declassifications, and the target is clearly the weaponized intelligence community. That's what's so beautiful about this whole thing. It's exactly who I was hoping it would be after. I'm going to play the clip again, and you guys are probably sick of it by now, but this is my favorite clip. But this is the target of all of these declassifications. Trump has put the intelligence community in the crosshairs, like firmly, squarely in the crosshairs, and they're not letting up. Let me play this quick.
Don't forget, this persecution is being done by the same weaponized agencies that for 7 years have been running illegal psychological warfare campaigns against the American people, much as if they were trying to destabilize a foreign country. From the Russia hoax, to the no collusion Mueller witch hunt, to impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, the 51 lying intelligence offers. How about them? They said it's Russia disinformation, and they knew it wasn't, which made about, according to some of the great pollsters that are right here, made from anywhere from a 10 to 17 point difference. And yet we still got more votes than any sitting president in history in the second election. And we actually did much better in the second election than we did in the first election. The fake dossier Paid for by the Democrats. How about the fake dossier? Remember that one? You think that was easy to go home and say, "Hello, darling, how are you?" when they read about that? It wasn't easy at all. Spying on my campaign. We caught them spying on my campaign. The FBI, Twitter files, and so much more. It's all been a battle of disinformation, one thing after the other, and all to protect the radical left misfits.
I don't play that full clip often, but it's juicy because he's talking about all the things we're getting out right now, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, to your point about the weaponized intelligence and the fact that all this stuff is targeting, and we know, again, as you said, it's laid out that it's targeting U.S. intelligence, which is awesome. Going back to the Russia point, like Vladimir Putin's not the only guy that U.S. intelligence and Western intelligence have targeted, but he might be the only one that they haven't beaten, that's not an American, right, besides Trump. But I mean, mostly it's we saw he died when the U.S. intelligence goes after you. And my point about 2014 and before that is that the U.S. intelligence was full scale mobilized, literally. I'm not even saying like figuratively in the InfoWar sense. They were in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And they admit this. They literally went to Ukraine and ousted a Russian president. Enacted, fomented a color revolution. That's where the term color revolution got popularized, was actually from the Maidan coup, and then ousted the pro-Russian president, bragged about it openly, because that's how much psychological damage they had done to the American people about Russia.
Who bragged about it?
What?
Remember? Who bragged about it? Which gal? Do you remember? Remember her name?
Hold on, let me think.
Because you are about to become a conduit of Russian disinformation right now, against one of the targets.
Victoria Nuland?
Yes. She's in this document, so I can't wait to show you.
She was. So to finish that point up, I don't disagree with anything you said in terms of Trump, and I just mean Russia was the pick for a reason, and part of it, maybe it would have been the pick even if the intel community hadn't already been going against Russia, because it fits into sort of what Americans are willing to think about the Russians. They've been working on this for a century, for sure, going back to the Kennedy era. This is all a rerun of them trying to get us into war with Russia. Kennedy and Khrushchev avoided it then. I think Trump and Putin are avoiding it now. But it's all just to say, don't lose the point. I'm saying to the general don't lose sight of the fact that those same weaponized intelligence agencies were at publicly declared war with Russia way before Trump even came in. So then when they try to saddle him with the Russia collusion hoax, I think Americans look at that as like it was all systems go against Donald Trump, as like that's the start of the shadow war. But Trump was just the next chapter to them in a war that they were already fighting.
Yeah, two birds,
from their
one stone.
point of view. Yeah, exactly.
Two birds, one stone, for sure. Well, let's go a little further into this latest release, because it's pretty fascinating. There's a spreadsheet that was recovered from U.S. intelligence agency files and made public Wednesday by the White House Government Transparency Task Force that shows that spy agencies and the FBI created a list of more than 6 dozen prominent organizations, Americans or foreigners, who became figures in the Biden family Ukraine scandal and the 2019 impeachment proceedings against President Donald Trump. Now, keep in mind, just to show you like how pervasive this was, while this was going on, while they were compiling this spreadsheet of people that were either targets or conduits of Russian disinformation, they were also in the public sphere with a whole bunch of retired deep state conduits. We'll call them that. That's where the 51 intelligence agents, the former ones, came out and said that the laptop story was it had all the classic earmarks of Russian disinformation. Those were all public retired people, if there's such a thing as retired intelligence assets. The people behind closed doors, they created its own separate task force just to go through this, and it's kind of fascinating. All these people here at the top are all the conduits of Russian disinformation, and then the targets here. What was that?
I didn't even make the cut.
I know we didn't. None of us did. But the targets here is Joe Biden. He was briefed on it. He's one of the only ones that was briefed. I wonder if Trump's not on this list. Carrie Victoria Nuland, she was a target. Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Mike and Tom Donnellan, Amos Hochstein, which we've talked about him before. I think we did a show with Ghost maybe where we did a dig on him. Dale Perry, John Templeton, and this is where it gets kind of interesting. You have Hunter Biden and Devin Archer, and they're both listed as targets, but here they have FBI equities. And I looked this up. I asked the machine, so grain of salt, could be wrong. The machine could be wrong. But I sent in a screenshot of this part, and I said, what does the FBI equities mean in this context? And the machine told me that, and I'll read the full thing here. In this context, FBI equities almost certainly means the FBI had an institutional interest in, responsibility for, or potentially sensitive information connected to those particular entries. An agency's equities are its interests, authorities, investigations, sources / methods, operational concerns, or information it owns or originated. They use this term, for example, describing checks of government national security and public safety equities when determining whether disclosure could affect FBI or other agency interests. So they labeled Hunter Biden and Devin Archer as FBI equities. And there's a few others in here that are listed that way. But one reading is like, you could look at this and be like, well, so are they assets? I know a lot of people have talked about Hunter Biden, maybe he flipped and he's turned FBI confidential human source against his own family. The one thing that I disagree with that framing, a couple things. Like, one, there's no actual public evidence that's ever happened. Two, the people putting together this report are like the deepest of deep state. Yeah. And so for him to be an FBI equity in this kind of report, to me, that's like, okay, well, then you're an equity of the deepest of deep state intelligence, part of the intelligence community. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And we go back to the early days from several years ago during the Our Boy Blue years, which we miss. We were reminiscing earlier about the Our Boy Blue days. But one of the things you've said for a long time is the idea, I mean, pretty observable, that Trump basically chose Joe Biden as his opponent, yes. Like boosted Joe Biden, really put his narrative weight behind him, clearly wanted him on the opposite side of the docket, right?
And he did that by like almost, he targeted him in a way that it made the media think that Trump was almost afraid to go up against Biden.
Right.
And they went all in with that. They're like, he became the candidate because Biden was losing in the polls.
Mm-hmm. He was in first like third place or something.
Yeah. And then Trump started targeting him with the narratives and whatnot. And that's when the media latched onto him and he shot up and became the candidate, which was perfect.
And now there's many ways that I'm sure we discussed this at the time, but there's all different, you'd say why. For starters, I think it made 2020 look all the more absurd to many people. It certainly made the resulting Our Boy Blue presidency all the more absurd because that maybe was the most absurd guy you could have got in there in that particular era. And, the rest is history. But in the context of the Russia collusion hoax and Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, and where hopefully these things are going, not just from a justice against the U.S. intelligence agencies, but what I'm saying of tying all of this together, this entire era, literally going back to 2014 and beyond, he wanted those guys on center stage, in my view, at least partly because of Ukraine. Like, Trump knew, in my view, Ukraine was coming back into the narrative in a huge way at some point. I think he knew exactly when, but that's all speculation. But even though it's maybe only inside baseball people like our audience who are intimately aware of the Biden's history in Ukraine, that narrative and the argument about that narrative, that was years. That was taking place half of the Biden administration. So the collective mind has been just saturated with the argument of Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, Victoria Nuland, the Obama administration basically being in bed with the Ukrainians against the Russians. All of that is going to be important, not just in the unraveling of this particular hunt for justice in the US, But I think if you're looking for a reconciliation window with Russia, that's probably going to come whenever in the next few years here, this is going to be a big part of telling that story, I think.
Yeah. And one thing that's unfortunate, like you're right, this has been going on for a long time. Like one of my favorite proofs, which I'll probably like go through briefly after we get through this next part, is it happened in 2015. It was before Trump got in there. He was the candidate. I don't think he was actually like that on the ticket. He was still like in the primary stuff at the time, but just public information, just based on the emails that we have, you can prove there was corruption. There was pay for play. Like it gross stuff. And I don't remember where I was going to go with this. Oh, the mainstream media, unfortunately, I think, considering the narrative warfare and the weaponized intelligence community at play here, they did a decent job of like burying it. Like you talk to a lot of people, even the truth community, we don't talk enough about the Biden corruption that's out there. Like I have a Twitter thread out there that I put out in 2023. Nobody in the mainstream has ever talked about the publicly available Biden corruption that's out there. And there's tons of it. This is just one part of it. There's tons of it out there. While he was a candidate, while he was running for president, it was talked about a lot, but we don't talk about it hardly at all anymore. And that's unfortunate. I think the media did do a fairly decent job. So I do hope it comes around full circle, but that would require, again, some form of accountability and justice. I think we need to see that. That would require delegitimizing the AutoPen stuff, which would require delegitimizing Biden, not because of the AutoPen, because of the election. But there's like multiple steps that we need to go through. But this part is pretty interesting. So if you have anything you want to add, you can. Then
I was just the other point on the Bidens with this stuff. I've actually seen even this week, Pelosi, they've been doing this a lot lately where they're still like taking shots at our boy Blue and basically clearly trying to distance themselves from him is what it seems like. Now, most of the context about that, Pelosi, I think this week once again said, the people close to Joe Biden who knew of his mental decline should have said something, right? So they're trying to distance themselves from the Biden administration. But I think what they're trying to, they don't care that they're embarrassed about the Biden administration, right? They're not actually like these other politicians that supported him. Nancy Pelosi doesn't care anymore about her political aspirations, I don't think. I think what these legacy deep state politicians are worried about is the pre-administration Joe Biden stuff that you're referencing. Like, because who else? Yeah, you've got right here. Who else was on Burisma? And you've got Pelosi's, and besides them, you've got all these deep state crime families that were active in the second Obama administration. And part of the going to the Q refrain, they never thought she would lose. That is as much or more, in my view, about United States intelligence and the outgoing Obama administration as it is about Hillary. In fact, I think it's more about that. Those were the people, think about it. Of course, we know the Clintons are corrupt, but who was able to lever their power? Who had the power to leverage with crimes of massive magnitude? It was all the people in the second Obama administration, and obviously Hillary was Secretary of State, but I just mean all those people that were actually there, those are the ones who I think desperately needed Hillary to win, almost as much or more so than the Hillary campaign itself.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, all these people were banking on that. That's why they were so desperate. That's why they had to go all in with the Russia collusion stuff when Trump won, because they were all screwed, and they're still screwed to this point. Like they're still in the process of being screwed, hopefully, if we ever get some form of accountability and justice. But let's read through this. So one of the things that came out today was this report from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. This would have been Tulsi Gabbard. I guess we don't have a date on this, but I'm assuming it was while Tulsi Gabbard was in office, because it did happen in 2025. We don't know if it was early or late or whatever, but I'm going to assume it was Tulsi. This Delta Project, Round River. So around December of 2019, and so this would have been right around the same time that the impeachment hoax was going on. I think that ended in January, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, when did that end? No, I don't remember. Do you want to look up when that ended? Because I can't remember. But It was around this time frame that was going on.
When which ended?
The first impeachment hoax over the perfect phone call regarding Ukraine, Zelensky, all that stuff. Shortly after that was when the COVID stuff came, like January, February of 2020. But anyway, so this FBI, they created a foreign influence task force, Russia. Like they unofficially formed this group of analysts who used their internal systems to gather any and all derogatory information that was previously reported by confidential human sources, 14 separate of them, by the way, on Joseph Biden corruption and other Ukraine-related topics. That was known as the Ukraine narrative, including Burisma, Hunter Biden, Mykola Zlochevsky, Ukraine interference in the 2016 U.S. presidential election, and they just red flagged it, all that reporting as Russian disinformation. Did you find the date?
Yeah, February 2020. February 5th, 2020, the Senate voted to acquit on the first impeachment.
Okay, when did, while you're there, look up, when did they walk, like when did they do the walk? They walked the articles of impeachment over from the House to the Senate. I want to say that maybe that was early January. I'm trying to remember. It's crazy. That was 6 years ago. Anyway, this Round River team, they called themselves. They operated leading up to and through the 2020 U.S. presidential election. The team of analysts had administrative access to all reporting and drafted intelligence products that were later added to each CHS file to show that the reporting was deemed Russian disinformation. They would have had to have pretty high up people in there, I'm assuming, to get administrative accesses to all these things.
So the key dates, just so you're aware, inquiry begins September 2019. They voted to impeach December 2019. Senate trial, they walked the articles of impeachment over January 15th, 2020, and then the trial began on the 16th.
Yeah. Okay,
Lasted
so
about 3 weeks.
That's good to know, because in the middle of the impeachment hoax, that's when this thing is formed. They knew going into that impeachment, based on the numbers in the House and the Senate, that they were going to get him, they were going to impeach him, but they were not going to be able to convict him and like remove him from office in the Senate. So they knew what the outcome of this whole thing was going to be. It was all in an attempt to further delegitimize him, right? That's what they were doing this whole time. Yeah. So for this to be starting up at that same time, while Trump was starting to ramp up more rhetoric about the laptop and all that stuff, it's very notable. Like this was a deliberate decision, obviously, that they were using to counter the very real information that they had of all this stuff. Just think how gross it is. Like, you know, for a fact, because of the confidential human sources that you have, 14 of them, that there's a there with the Biden crime family stuff, but you deliberately attempt to bury it and label anybody who's talking about it as Russian disinformationists. And you do it privately, and then you get the former heads of your agencies, like the Brennan and the Clappers and the 51 other people, to do it publicly, and then you get the mainstream media to eat that up. Like, it's just all the classic humor. Like, that is so disgusting. I posted about this earlier. Could you imagine if a story came out that Kash Patel, John Ratcliffe, and the new DNI, Jay Clayton, that they had discovered like some sort of scheme that the Trump family was doing that was like super corrupt and self-serving and all these things, and they buried it? Like, could you imagine the media fallout if that story ever came out? Because that's what this is, and it's not even the worst thing that these people have done. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, I mean, and this just kind of goes back to one of the macro points of why negative into a positive. The negative is, how on earth can you have trust in federal justice when the intelligence agencies themselves are the ones who need to be brought to justice, of course. But then to wrap that into a positive, it is why it is so, I think it's why it's so encouraging that the intelligence community are the ones in the line of fire here by the Trump DOJ, or by hopefully the Trump military, whatever it's going to take. And second, it does, it's an easy point, but it lends credence to the idea of why it has taken so long, not just in terms of, hey, I think oftentimes when we're talking about that, it's like, this was a vast, grand conspiracy, and you want to button it all up and all that. We've also talked about it through the lens of psychological warfare, as you play with the clip. But another pretty easy thing to point out with it is it's against the U.S. intelligence agencies and the DOJ.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's the grand conspiracy. I know that sounds so simple, but it really is such a seismic challenge to bring a successful grand conspiracy case against the people who were the guardians of American intelligence and who are the justice system.
And they're still in there. That's the thing.
They're still in there. Exactly. So it's it's a civil war. It's an intelligence civil war, essentially.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely it is. And that's what one of the things I get like so almost annoyed about when people like talk full controls.
Yes.
This is still going on. Like there are still people embedded. This group right here, the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force, Kash Patel, when he got in there, sometime like it might, we'll read the letter because I think it's kind of vague. I got the impression, I believe, from reading it earlier that they started investigating them, but I guess it doesn't say what year. Like he might have just started investigating this group this year for what they did with this. And there are people like still in there. Like they're still there. We're still fighting them while trying to like expose what these people have done and bring some form of accountability and justice. So there's still a problem we're dealing with.
And again, I think from a normie perspective, of course, you sound like Tim Pool when you use the terminology civil war. I'm more talking about with the benefit, like this audience is fully read in, essentially, on the proof. I think the funny thing about this is that claiming that there's an intelligence or a shadow civil war is not even controversial. The other side would tell you the same thing. They would just tell you that they were the good guys, right? Like the Comeys of the world, the Clappers of the world, the Brennans. They would all tell you, yes, there's a shadow civil war in U.S. intelligence going back to 2016 at least, if not 2015. And we are the good side in that. Obviously, we think that that is total bullshit. This stuff is going to be with the benefit of hindsight when it comes to justice, a justice campaign, is that there was a civil war happening in the U.S. intelligence community.
For sure.
And I don't even think that's that hard to explain to people. You use civil war terminology, they're like, well, I didn't see a civil war. Sure, I saw public cultural strife and disagreement, and the country seemed, ununified. But this stuff is a civil war. It's like all this declassification, and normies aren't looking at any of this. But as I've said in previous weeks, normies will see the headlines about people being perp-walked and arrested if and when that happens, if they're intelligence assets, which will grant all this hindsight to, wait a second, what was the sourcing of everything I've ever heard about Donald Trump?
Yeah, we'll see. We hope that's the case. They may have even softened some of the blow with that, though, because of the BS Comey thing, like the political persecution that they've rolled out with that thing, the 8647 or whatever. Anyway, that's a topic for another day. Some people in the YouTube chat are talking about, we used to have debates over whether Hunter Biden was a confidential human source. I still don't think that's what, I still don't think that's the case, but I do remember having those discussions. Anyway, the following is an illustrated example of some of the statements made by the aforementioned CHSs with respect to the Ukraine narrative. The Round River team did not corroborate any of the allegations of the Ukraine narrative. So again, as I said earlier, they went along with a narrative about Trump that they knew Hillary Clinton paid for, and that was uncorroborated. And even when they tried to corroborate it, there was nothing there. There was no Russia collusion. And when they had 14 separate confidential human sources coming to them with stuff about the Biden family, they didn't look to corroborate any of them, not a single one. Absolutely nuts. In December 2015 reporting, a confidential human source knows a Russian intelligence officer who told the confidential human source that Mykola Zlochevsky is using his relationship with Hunter Biden to get closer to Americans. The IO, intelligence officer, referred to the relationship between Zlochevsky and Biden as a long-term operation / long penetration. That's what she said. CHS was terminated in September of 2019 and December of 2023. Now, the story that this reminds me of so perfectly is the one that I was talking about, that Twitter thread that I was telling you about earlier. I'll buzz through this very, very quick, but it's a super easy story to tell people. Hunter Biden coordinated with Sally Painter of Blue Star Strategies and Burisma while he was on the board, and he got them together for a meeting in October of 2015, October 29th. 2 days later, after that meeting, Sally Painter from Blue Star Strategies sent over a contract to Burisma, a revised proposal contract and initial invoice. There was some back and forth on this. Vadim was a little concerned because the scope wasn't what they talked about. The scope was lacking concrete, tangible results that we set out to achieve in the first place. It lacked names of key targets for improving Nikolai Zlochevsky's case and his situation in Ukraine. He said he understood that if the contract didn't represent the scope, just to be safe and cautious. So he's like, I get that we don't want to put some of what we're doing here on paper. I get that, but as long as we're all on the same page of the true purpose, then I'd be comfortable moving forward. And then he went on to say that the true purpose was to get widely recognized and influential current and former U.S. policymakers to close down any investigations or pursuits against the owner of Burisma, Nikolai Zlochevsky, in Ukraine. Hunter assured Vadim that Sally understood the true scope, told him to go ahead and sign. They signed it on November 18th, 2015. Just 2 weeks later, and this is the part that still blows my freaking mind, when they try to like do this redemption tour for Hunter Biden and how there was nothing weird going on. On December 2nd of 2015, Blue Star Strategy sat in on a White House conference call regarding the Vice President Joe Biden's trip to Ukraine, his upcoming trip. They sat in on a White House conference call while contracted to Burisma, a contract that was set up by Hunter Biden, and then they sent the meeting of the meeting minutes, the White House meeting minutes, to Burisma after the fact. They emailed them over. This is all in Hunter Biden's emails. Like, do you understand? They emailed meeting minutes to Burisma. It's insane.
Yeah.
And then it was just 6 days later that Joe Biden withheld the $1 billion in loan guarantees without the removal of Victor Shokin as prosecutor general. Like if there's a better example of like the Biden family corruption, I may not have seen it, because how else did Blue Star Strategies get in that meeting on VP Biden? Like it's not something you can just like, hey, there was a public Zoom call, anybody can just tune into this. Like that's private classified shit. And they're in on that meeting and then they send it to Burisma. It's just insane to me. But that's exactly what this memo to me reads. They knew that they're using his relationship with Hunter Biden to get close to Americans, and the goal of those, getting close to them was to get them to stop investigating Zlochevsky. It gets better though. It gets better. February 2019 reporting. Cub Energy Inc. in Texas is run by some weird Ukrainian name. It was brought public via a reverse merger with a Canadian company. The scheme involves Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Devon Archer, and Chris Hines Carey. The beneficiaries are involve the former Ukraine Minister of Ecology, Mykola Zlochevsky. Again, this is all from sources that the intelligence community uses. This is what they're saying. This is nuts. Zlochevsky had an Interpol investigation on him. He allegedly paid Poroshenko $100 million to stop the case on him. The bribe was in the form of shares and guaranteed profits from gas sales in Ukraine. According to a protected subsource, 2 CIA officers took Zlochevsky to the office of Yuri Lutsenko, who was the prosecutor general at the time in Ukraine. The CIA officers allegedly told Lutsenko that Zlochevsky is protected by the U.S. and urged Lutsenko to stop investigating Zlochevsky and let him back into Ukraine. Like the CIA took him to a meeting with this prosecutor, like, you need to cut your shit out and let this guy off the hook here. Like that's nuts. And that's an intelligence community asset saying that the CIA was helping this guy that Hunter Biden was on the board of his company. Absolutely nuts. And then you can go ahead if you want.
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, our boy Z. Do you know what happened to Zlochevsky?
I don't know.
He did take a plea deal, but the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, this is the NABU independent anti-corruption bureau that's been taking a lot of heat by Ukrainian Nazis, convicted Zlochevsky during Zelensky's reign. This was back in, what was the date?
Wasn't that earlier?
That was early.
Yeah.
In June 2020, they intercepted a $5 million cash bribe, blah, blah, blah. August 2023, they approved a plea deal in which Zlochevsky formally pleaded guilty to bribery. He was, I mean,
did he serve jail time?
No, he did not.
Yeah, didn't think so.
Yeah.
That's a limited hangout getting him off the hook there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Considering the things he's done. Burisma Holdings owns 13 companies, which are used to pay dividends on investments through fake consulting contracts. Contracts are paid to U.S. investors and funneled through Latvia and the energy sector of Ukraine. Joe Biden and his son Hunter Biden have money invested into Burisma. Their investment passed through a shell company in Latvia. I think it's funny because one of the things Hunter Biden said on Tucker Carlson was that my dad made it a point that he would never own any bonds or stocks. It's like this confidential human source is saying you and your dad own the shares of Burisma. Freaking hilarious. And the last one here, another confidential human source, October 2019, CHS discussed his relationship with Hunter Biden, who consulted the CHS before he decided to work for Burisma. Confidential human source also mentioned that approximately 1 year prior, Yuri Boyko could get access to the Ukrainian government investigation into Burisma, and Boyko offered the information to the confidential human source. And then in December that same year, they discussed how they sat down with those who had previously offered the CHS the Burisma dossier and requested a copy. And those people none of them are with the agency any longer. But it's also nuts to me. This stuff is out there. It's public. It's becoming more public with these things, and the fact they've gotten away with it for this long, it's laughable. It really is.
Again, I know I keep going to the international stuff, but you've got the domestic stuff pretty buttoned up with this. No. Obviously, the pathway into any wider disclosures or unravelings internationally has to come through the domestic unraveling. So this is ground zero, like from the justice perspective. But I think this stuff is so seismic. Even if I get away from the Russia angle of it and the Sovereign Alliance angle of it, one thing that normies are tired of, bipartisan normies, are largely tired of the Western, not just American, but Western world's support for Ukraine, right? So the unraveling of this corruption case, this RICO, it's going to literally have global implications if we get what we want. I'm just saying under that framing. It's not just going to have global implications because it involves a current U.S. administration going after a former one, successfully improving treason and all this. It's also going to make every Western population, including Americans, but also French, Germans, Belgians, English, look at their governments and go, wait a second, so this is why you were backing Ukraine? Because all of you guys, like backing Ukraine to the tune of what we're told is tens of billions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of lives over there, not necessarily from the Western nations. It's not just, obviously we see American news and anti-American news. It's not just American intel assets that have been active in the Donbass for the last 4 years. It's MI6, it's Mossad, it's the Germans. In the news brief, actually, I forgot to mention, in the news brief from today's edition, I think, on the Badlands Substack, I had played a clip from a press conference in Serbia, in Belgrade, from last weekend, where a German reporter who is the grandson of a Weimar Nazi general or commander asks Zelensky, who is in Belgrade, quote, what can we do concretely to help Ukraine kill more Russians?
What?
On camera. So I can find the clip in a minute, but this kind of like bloodthirsty rhetoric from the grandson of a Nazi who's a German reporter, that stuff, it's already crazy. But that is all going to get recontextualized on the back of all of this. This is going to be a global unwind, right? Because those I don't know if anybody's heard this, but fake news aside, it seems like Europeans are upset. They're not feeling great about the way their governments are acting. They feel a little bit like 2015 America. I'm not saying they're as based, but remember, the temperature of the country was at a certain point in 2015 and 16, paving the way for the Trump era, as you said earlier. They underestimated just how powerful that groundswell of energy is. We're just seeing that in France and England and Ireland and beyond, right? In Germany, this anti-immigration push, this anti-globalist push. Well, when you get on the back of that these governments were all trying to keep the proxy state of Ukraine going in a war with Russia because all of their corruption schemes globally ran through Ukraine, that's going to be quite an unwinding. And again, when you then play on the back of that viral videos of German official press, basically representatives of the government, asking how they can kill more Russians, it's like, there's a reason Trump and Vladimir Putin keep, for the last 2 years in a row, have signaled mutual victory day for the first time in American or Russian history. And it's because Victory Day was over the Nazis. So they're still fighting them. And I think that's going to be eye-opening for Americans. But that particular angle, the Nazi angle, I think is going to be played much harder in Europe than it is here for obvious reasons. Like, so many people in Europe are directly descended from victims of World War I and World War II. So it's going to be like, you guys were the Nazis the whole time and tricked us all into supporting a war against the Russians, who were the ones who helped defeat the Nazis the first time.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like the unwinding that's going to have to take place here. By the way, I just saw that my own girlfriend was gifted a subscription. And I am,
wow.
I don't know, this might be,
I mean, that's rough.
This might be it for us. I don't know.
That's a wrap. I got those are very short clips if you want to see it.
Yeah, let's play.
So this was in the brief. Guys, subscribe. It's free. Badlands.substack.com. The brief comes out 5 days a week, and then the blitz hits on Saturday. So Germans and Ukrainians call for Russian genocide while Trump signed. Oh, this is what I forgot earlier. This is what I was referencing. So you referenced the prisoner release.
Yeah.
And Trump was like, oh, yeah, I had a great phone call with Putin and he agreed to do this. This came after this happened. So you had, this is the guy, the German reporter.
And a short question to the president of Ukraine, Zelensky. You have touched it partly already, but can you tell us Europeans, what can we concretely do to help you to kill more Russian soldiers, of course?
Of course, right?
Of course.
Now, look at that question and look at how the Serbian president takes it.
And a short question to the president of Ukraine, Zelensky. You have touched it partly already, but can you tell us Europeans, what can we concretely do to help you to kill more Russian soldiers, of course? I'm also asking this, have you been talking about any issues regarding defense cooperation and joint drone?
So basically, he just goes wide-eyed as soon as he hears that. Now, whether Vucic is a good guy or not, I don't know. I haven't done a ton of research on him, but he at least knew that this doesn't look good for the European press to be asking Zelensky this. But Vucic did respond. I don't have it on video, but his quote said, "We did not discuss military cooperation with Ukraine today. What happens when the war ends is another matter. And speaking about killing, I hope all killing will end." And he was looking right at that reporter. And the last point would be, so how's it relevant? It's relevant because that wasn't just any German reporter. That was Michael Martens. And Michael Martens' grandfather was himself a high-ranking Wehrmacht command officer. Hans Hermann Martens held senior positions in the Nazi regime and the Weimar High Command. So,
that's insane.
You can't write this shit. And this is not the first time. We had, remember all those years ago, was it 2022, that Canadian Parliament gave a standing ovation to a Ukrainian Nazi about the Russians, right? So now you've got it's like we've overused these memes in the truth community of they're saying the quiet part out loud. But guys, a German grandson of a Nazi who works for the European press is asking how to kill more Russians. And
insane.
Vladimir Putin, on day one of the special military operation, he did not call it just a special military operation. He called it a denazification mission. And they are now confirming that a lot of Nazis are being killed and a lot of Nazis want to kill the Russians because they've always wanted to kill the Russians.
Yeah, you're making some great points here. I had not seen the second clip of the guy's face.
Yeah.
During that was hilarious.
He's like, bro.
I do think this kind of wraps up though the part of the declassified. No, actually, there's one more thing I want to read. I want to read Kash Patel's letter that he wrote to the task force. It's like a Dear John letter to the White House task force. But before we do that, let's get a quick word from another sponsor of today's show. We got Rumble Wallet. Let me pull this up here. This is a paid advertisement for Rumble Wallet. They're sponsoring this portion of the show. All right, chat, real talk. We've been talking about this a couple times now. If you want to get our attention, the easiest way to get it, to like get your comment and engage yourself into the show, it's with a rant. And the best rants that you could give us, actually all rants are good, I don't want to say that, but the new cool way that you can give rants is with the Rumble Wallet and cryptocurrencies. Because right now you can get free crypto from Rumble Wallet just for signing up. A limited time, you can start your wallet with $20 in US stablecoin. And you can use that to tip your favorite Rumble creators like those of us here at Badlands directly. Free $20. All you got to do is go to wallet.rumble.com or click the scan the QR code on the screen or click the link and enter the exclusive promo code DPH20 when you sign up. So whether it's a hot take or something you really want us to react to, whatever it is, don't just let it get buried in the chat, although we do have a great chat community. If you want us to engage with it, send it with the Rumble Wallet rant. Again, scan the QR code, click the link in the description, download the Rumble Wallet, try it yourself, and don't forget to use the code DPH20 to claim the free $20, and you become a VIP, essentially. But restrictions apply. There are a limited number of entries available. Terms and conditions apply. See the description below or visit rumble.com/promo-official-rules for details.
Speaking of VIP, we got to plug Vegas.
Why don't you do that? I'm not going to lie. Before we do the Vegas thing, I hate that's not my least favorite Rumble Wallet ad because it's just like awkward.
Yeah, don't you guys want to be cool?
Leave us rants. Like,
smoke
I don't know.
cigarettes with us.
But anyway, yeah, we do have a conference coming up.
September 17th to the 19th, badlandsmedia.tv/events. Join us in Vegas. There are VIP and general admission tickets available. Virtual tickets that will get you access to the Telegram group. The one from Deadwood is still bumping. Those are $25 just for another 2 days, actually. So grab your virtual ticket if you want the early bird pricing. This weekend, that goes up to $35. So just a $10 increase. But if you want to get that $10 off, grab that now. That gets you access to all the panels and the Telegram chat, which is really, really the prize there. But come join us. It's just in 4.5 weeks.
Yeah, it's gonna be a really good time. I know that there's a conference like there the week before us, and their ticket pricing is like $700, $800. Yeah, we do our best to keep our ticket price down. It's not the cheapest venue in the world, but Vegas is always, we've been there. Have we been there multiple times now? I know I've been there for multiple conferences.
We've been there once.
Yeah, Badlands said one conference there, and it was a great turnout. Other than the people that were there trying to like do the coup, that part wasn't as fun. But the actual conference
feels
itself,
like ages ago. My God,
I know it was just like a year-ish, a little over a year. That was May last year.
March.
Was it? Well, March. That's what it was.
March.
But yeah, the venue's really cool. Like it's when you think Vegas, a lot of people think like on the Strip, and you're machines, gambling machines everywhere. You can get that if you go to the Strip, but this venue is just off the Strip, and there's no machines in the casino or in the venue. It's just good people, good fun, great food. Like it's awesome. Next to the hotel.
Yeah, there's a cool bar and karaoke bar and stuff in the hotel too. So you don't even have to like leave if you don't want to.
Yeah,
I like those kinds that everything is just there.
Yeah, and we're also trying to do something a little different too with this, like with the format. So we're still going to have panels, and we're still going to have good discussions, and we're going to create some good content while we're there. But we're also trying to like gear the schedule more towards the social aspect of it, because that's really the why we do these things. We want to get together with you guys and help build out the communities. And there's so many lifelong friendships that are formed at these conferences. Like there are people that came to the first conference and they started talking and they were like best friends and still best friends to this day. And those relationships are made at these conferences and seeing, all the returnees, people that we've met so many times, seen so many times. It's just like you're seeing family again. It's amazing. If you haven't been to a GART, it's an experience you got to have. And if you have been to a GART, that's why you guys keep coming back, because they're so awesome. So badlandsmedia.tv/events. I highly, highly encourage you guys to join us. You will not regret it. It's unlike any other conference you've been to. So
damn straight.
All right. Let's read this letter from Kash Patel about the newly declassified documents and the task force that was exposed, or the foreign influence one. White House Transparency Task Force. Thank you for providing the documents from the other intelligence community components regarding the Round River assessment. So to me, this makes it seem like they didn't even know about it. We are working diligently with the Department of Justice to compile and provide the task force with the full body of evidence within our own agency related to this matter. To date, we have proactively identified tens of thousands of responsive pages and are preparing for them for production for you and Congress. We share the concerns raised in the materials you transmitted, suggesting the FBI's then Foreign Influence Task Force, embedded in the FBI Counterintelligence Division at headquarters, may have inappropriately focused on a small subset of information gleaned from the Round River assessment. You don't say. As you know, Round River identified at least 53 confidential human sources whose identities were potentially known to foreign intelligence and under hostile control. At least 14 of these reported derogatory information on Joe Biden. At my direction, this FBI will take the unprecedented step of providing you with the source reporting from all 53 sources so you can finally see the facts. As you are aware, I immediately disbanded the FITF upon assuming the role of FBI director. While our internal review of the FITF is not yet complete, we are investigating whether the FITF used information learned from the Round River assessment to undermine or influence ongoing investigations by only focusing on a subset of CHS involving the Bidens. We remain concerned that defensive briefings to Congress may have been overly focused on just Biden and Ukraine rather than the balanced picture of all foreign threats. Although these alleged activities occurred during a different era within the Bureau, my team is firmly committed to identifying, investigating, and holding accountable all abuses. We are equally committed to ensuring that future counterintelligence operations remain focused exclusively on legitimate foreign threats and are never used to advance political narratives. And that is signed Kash Patel, who chose his name because of my pseudonym Patel Patriot. Yeah. That's why he named himself Kash Patel.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. That's all I have on the documents. So I don't know where to go from here. I did think this was funny.
He's been saying those Chinamen are, I was just gonna say that I kind of, speaking of inversion, I think it's kind of funny when we get the intelligence saying that China was attempting to undermine faith in United States elections. And my response to that would be, is that a bad thing? I know what they mean, or what they seem to mean by that, but we do not have faith in U.S. elections. And if those elections are fake, then is a foreign adversary sowing distrust in United States elections bad?
Well, speaking of that, everything you just said there, that's a perfect segue for this story that just came out tonight. Mm-hmm. Voting machines have real security issues. Researchers worry they could be weaponized by election deniers.
It's like, it is, man.
A recent investigation into seized Puerto Rican voting machines found major security flaws, though there's no evidence they were exploited to change election results. It's like, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe there's a bunch, maybe we can't technically say that it's the most secure election in American history because these machines are very flawed. But like, if you guys start talking about that, people might think that our elections aren't secure or something. Like
it's amazing. They usually don't frame it this directly.
It's so bad.
Again, usually that framing is front running. We've said this many times, but usually it is. I know they're talking about Puerto Rican machines, but hey, we're 3 months before the midterms, those dastardly midterms, and it's interesting. It's interesting that this is their framing rather than just locking arms. There's no such thing as fake elections. They're saying, well, I mean, listen, they're not secure, but like honor system. They're almost getting to that point where they're just being like, we don't think anybody's cheating. But can they cheat? Oh yeah, for sure they could. And that's that goalpost moving.
It's nuts. Let me read part of this because it's super funny. Last spring, the Trump administration asked a small cybersecurity firm based in Virginia to scrutinize the electronic voting systems the federal government had seized from Puerto Rico. The task before the company, Mojave Research, was nominally simple: to determine whether the machines had any major security flaws that could have affected the results of the 2024 presidential election. The company ultimately discovered numerous security gaps in these machines made by election giant Dominion voting systems, including weak or recycled passwords used across networks and other vulnerabilities that had previously been identified but remained unpatched. But according to Jason Wareham, the CEO of Mojave, who presented the findings, they had no reason to suspect that these security issues had any material impact on the results of the election. And that's what's so funny. They weren't examining the previous election itself. They were examining the flaws in the machines. So the two things are like, they're not connected. You looking, if I had a computer in front of me and I wanted to see like if there was malware on it, like I could go do that, right? I could look and whatever. But then for me to be able to say that nothing was like I wasn't looking to see if my computer had stuff stolen from it. I was just looking to see if it was vulnerable to that theft.
Yeah.
Like completely separate things. And they're
Like
trying
your
to
safe doesn't lock, sir. Your safe does not lock. Okay. But everything's in there.
But you
All
didn't
right,
look to
well,
open it to see if everything's in there.
Can you fix the safe? We will not be doing that.
It's so this is just so stupid. The distinction is critical to election security researchers who worry that the Trump administration could seize upon their legitimate findings to support long debunked conspiracy theories about election fraud or sow doubt
Such
about the
as
integrity
machines being vulnerable.
of the U.S. elections. There's a lot of people that will hear there's a weakness, there's a vulnerability, or there's potential for it. And that'll be used as fodder to say China did XYZ or Russia did XYZ, said Kendall Spencer, a board member of the Election Integrity Foundation, the organization that supports it. Like, this is the thing. We know they're vulnerable. As I said before, we know they're vulnerable. I can't even like say vulnerable right now. I'm getting so tired. But as I said, they weren't looking to see if it actually happened. They literally cannot actually make the claim that they know that this wasn't used to actually steal an election. In no way or shape or form did they actually look for that. This is just retarded, man.
Well, there's a related article I saved from the same outlet. Let me see here. This was 3 days ago on the 10th. And I thought this was interesting. Speaking of fake elections, speaking of our greatest allies, the GOP, right? Curious headlines. Senate GOP braces for a Trump August pressure cooker. Conservatives are already vowing to carry on the GOP's intra-party fight over the president's election bill priority. Now let's read a little bit here. Senate Republicans want to spend August fighting to keep their majority and training their fire on Democrats. Donald Trump might have other plans. The GOP's desire to move on from a months-long intra-party squabble over Trump's #1 priority comes after senators left town early Saturday without advancing any form of his election security bill. Republicans don't have the votes to pass the Save America Act and punted the framework for a third-party line spending bill that includes parts of the measure rather than have a failed vote. Whether Trump accepts that explanation is entirely unclear. So leaving aside the SAVE Act and whether or not that saves U.S. elections, isn't it interesting that the same outlet that is putting out articles about from the leftward framing and the uniparty framing of elections are secure is also telling us that the GOP really wants to stop talking about fake elections. So
they've been saying that for a while now.
We have been saying it for years. We said it in 2022. We didn't take as much fire at that time. We were also new, and at least Badlands was new, right before the midterms then. But the 2024 cycle and the 2026 cycle, we've taken nothing but fire for it, for saying that the GOP are not the good guys. So some of us go far enough to say, it's not just that I don't give a shit about the elections like some of you do because I think elections are fake. It's because I don't want to vote for GOP people who I think are the bad guys. And now we're getting headlines where the GOP guys don't want real elections. So it's like all the other ways in which elections can't be verified. And I think it was last week or the week before I had said on the show, I'm just really, pressure cooker I thought was interesting terminology. the GOP expects Trump to put them in a pressure cooker related to elections. Well, what's that going to look like, right? Is that just going to be more of stumping for the SAVE Act, or are we going to see Trump turn up that temperature? And I think a week or two ago on this show, I had said, part of the reason I think Trump is extending these narrative timelines is he is trying to force the GOP into public positions against him.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we're seeing them tiptoe out there a little bit more each week.
Yeah, and the whole SAVE Act thing, like they're already kind of in a pressure cooker because of that. They don't want the SAVE Act. I don't think Trump actually wants the SAVE Act either. I'm still stuck on this because nobody's provided me a proper explanation of where we go from here regarding the SAVE Act, because we were told by so many people that if we don't get the Save America Act, we will not have a country. Like everybody is saying, we need to get the Save America Act. We need the voter ID, all these things, or it's going to happen again. There's been no substantive changes made to how we run elections in this country. And it's the same elections that many people have been talking about, especially in this community, of how fraudulent they were, even 2024. And so we're just marching right along into this next one. And what does that mean? We didn't get the Save America Act. We're heading into the elections that you said if we didn't have the Save America Act for, we'd be screwed. So we're knowingly going in screwed. Is that what's happening? Like nobody's provided me a proper explanation of where we go from here when we ultimately do not have the Save America Act for these upcoming midterms.
Well, John, the only way to save elections is for the people that were voted in by the election system to save them. We all know this. You're the only one who doesn't get this.
True.
And, it's all going to be doom and gloom, including from Donald Trump, right up until it doesn't pass and doesn't ultimately matter at all.
So, but that didn't answer my question.
That's the problem with you, man. You just always have these questions.
Just stop asking questions.
Just trust the things, and I
want to trust, but
I think
hard
the
to.
GOP obviously has our best interests at heart, and
I don't feel like I'm asking
in
hard
God we
questions.
trust.
I'm not asking hard questions or anything. So
Put that
I don't
on a
know, man.
t-shirt. In GOP we trust.
In GOP we trust. I like that.
Yep.
That's funny. That sounds like something Scott Presser would wear. Super gay. Anyway, man, I think I'm out of stories for tonight. I'm hitting a wall. Anything particular you want to talk about before we skedaddle?
Well, let's hit one more on the topic of the Uniparty. I don't know if I said this in our chat earlier, but I thought this was hilarious. It's a Politico triple header. Crowley pushes unity after surprise win against Democratic Socialist Francesca Hong. So what I thought was just hilarious about this is I've been talking on this show and writing a lot the last few weeks about this concept of the dirty break that the Democratic Socialists are talking about. Like, we're going to get into the Democratic Party, then we're going to break it up. So I don't know, maybe they're the good guys. But what I love about this is, what was the number one thing we have been waterboarded by within the truth community, or waterboarded with? It's unity, right? The unity play from the GOP and from the so-called right and from MAGA. We are told that we are disrupting unity. We disrupted unity in 2024. We disrupted it all through 25. I don't even think there's any unity left. I think we wrecked it all. So we wrecked all the unity on the right, and now Democratic voters are being waterboarded with the unity messaging out of the Democratic Party, which is the same thing as the Republican Party, just as an FYI. And the reason that both of them waterboard any dissent with unity branding is because they are the Uniparty and they are collectivists. So I just thought it was kind of funny. The extreme, we're the extreme right in this community. These are the extreme left, and both are being waterboarded with disrupting unity. And then the white pill is just this one, just a little white pill to end.
Oh,
Saw
that's
this earlier
hilarious.
tonight. Former employee at the SPLC was arrested on fraud charges. So, this is hopefully just the start, but this is one of the administrators over at the SPLC. She's been arrested in California on charges that she oversaw secret payments to informants inside of white supremacist groups. She previously ran the SPLC's project tracking hate groups in the US. So even that, actually, the CNN headline, former employee grossly understates her position.
Yeah.
She was running the hate tracking, like the whole hate group tracking thing, right? So she was in a pretty pivotal role over there. She wasn't like a clerk. And I just think that's good. You know, it's 2026. One of the little white pills here is we had said we all felt pretty damn good when indictments were filed against the SPLC, partly because we're in media. But it's good to see some of those have some teeth. So I hope that just, you know, I hope that starts a cascade.
Yeah, I agree. And I said earlier, she looks more like the CFO of KFC rather than the SPLC, but not to fat shame her or anything. I do have one more video to show you guys. I just got to find the clip here. Here we go. Let me know what you think of this. This is Trump talking about, well, I guess he's presented the question from Wayne Allen Root about a national emergency at the election.
Okay. Because it's so hard to get the Senate to do anything. Now they're on recess. They don't get anything done if they never get the Save America Act done. You have the right to declare a national security emergency for elections. And the Supreme Court ruled in 1983 under Reagan that INS versus Chadha, that if you declare a national security emergency as the President of the United States, they can't challenge it. It can only be overturned by a 2/3 vote of both houses of Congress. So if you do this in the next month, we will get photo ID, proof of citizenship, and a limit to mail-in ballots. And
Let
you
me
don't
just say
even
that
need
stranger
the
things
Senate's
have
vote.
happened. Okay, I'll leave it at that.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Okay.
Stranger things have happened. Now, if I'm being like generous, I could look at that and be like, well, stranger things have happened. What do you mean? Like, is that something like devolution? Devolution's a little stranger than that. But the honest reading, my initial reaction is like, well, that's just a common saying. Like earlier today, there was that report or the conspiracy theory flown around that gravity was going to somehow turn off for like 7 seconds today. Like there's a bunch of people talking about it leading up to
by John Mayer.
No, like Earth's gravity for 7 seconds was supposed to shut off today. And I was like, well, somebody could say that to you and be like, well, stranger things have happened. You know, like that's a common saying. It doesn't mean actually stranger things have happened. It's just something people say sometimes. But you could look at it many ways.
Yeah. Gravity is working against me, John.
You're talking to me or John Mayer?
Talking to you using John Mayer lyrics.
Okay. Because his name is John also.
But it's the correct way of spelling John.
No, that's not true.
Yeah. I kind of slept on John Mayer. He
That's a gay thing to say.
Yeah, I didn't sleep with him, but I kind of fell into the like he's gay, girls like him when I was in high school. This is all bullshit, and I'm listening to some John Mayer lately, and he was pretty damn good with a Strat.
Why are you listening to John Mayer lately?
He's really good, man.
I mean,
he's a good guitarist.
He's talented, yes.
I didn't know he was that good of a guitarist. When I used to listen to him, I just thought it was like studio, stuff. And he was just the front man, but he's the guitarist.
He's a good guitarist. I mean, still, you could be accused of being an Iranian president for being like gay, yeah.
He's got that smoky voice. I get it. Like I get it in hindsight. I didn't see it at the time, but you know,
your body's a wonderland, man.
And must have gone to KFC quite a bit.
So dumb.
I'm a fan of slow dancing in a burning room. That's the one.
You seem like the type. You do.
I'm into.
Real quick, we didn't get much for rants tonight, but we have a few here we'll go through. 1027JS left $20 for the power. Just says thank you, and thank you, Joe, my fellow North Dakotan. We had somebody over on YouTube, a couple people over on YouTube. Penn W gifted us 100 jewels and a high five, which is really cool. And then Gerardo Lanto SCA says, do you consider Obama a CIA operation, a creation of Barry Soetoro? 8 years, he did more for the trans community than for the black community. And I think that's a very good way to look at it. I mean, if I'm being honest, like most of the presidents who've risen to the level of becoming president have only gotten there with the assistance and backing of the intelligence community and the CIA. So he certainly was a construct of them, and he was allowed to do that because of them. So yeah, I think he was definitely a CIA op. I think it was more than just the trans community and him being Barry Soetoro. There's so many layers to it, but yeah, it's a great rant, definitely.
They were feeling confident during the Obama era for good reason. They were in full control, I would say. But I think
maybe
a lot
that's
of
what
that shit's
Hugh
gonna
meant
come
by
back to
full
bite.
control.
Yeah, the bad guys were in full control. We are fucked. full don't forget.
Oh, funny. And then over on Rumble, just a few here. Kairos 5. Actually, let me go back further. Snowcat Operator gifted a subscription. Thank you so much, Snowcat. Good to see you, man. Red Pill Project. Josh rated the stream. Thanks, Josh. Good to see you. Keith Higgins said, I think old Tucker was drinking buddies with Hunter. Then Antifa attacked his house. He stopped drinking and blowing Hunter for Tony Bobulinski and burning DC bridges. Tucker is off the wagon now.
People keep asking me, like in my Substack comments, what I think about Tucker recently, and I just haven't subjected myself to any of it, but it seems like there's a growing stance that he's being kind of wild and crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've had to say this multiple times now, but I'm going to say it again. Back when Tucker went and interviewed Putin, everybody in the truth community is like, oh my God, he's part of the team. He's less than 10. He's this awesome thing. And I vividly remember the Only Lance episode with Ghost on there. And Ghost was like, Ghost, if you're in the chat, I love you, bro. But you were on Tucker Carlson, like BB was just on John Mayer.
A little bit.
You were gargling a little bit. And I was like, let's slow our roll, guys. Like, remember his background. He applied for the CIA and got denied and went on to become the world's most famous journalist.
Told to us by Putin in that interview.
Yeah. Like, Putin called him a Fed to his face. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just slow our roll a little bit. And like, let's just stay objective and logical. Like, there's no reason to trust this guy. No reason to like lump him into the white hat. Like, you have no reason to do that with any of these people. Just take the information you get, be objective about it. Don't become emotionally attached. And I got so much shit on that episode for it. So much shit. And then now it's come completely the opposite direction and has been going that way for a while. And I'm still exactly where I was then. But it's almost like I feel like myself not defending him because I'm not. I'm not a fan, but it's like,
well, you can't go either way with it. You can't play kayfabe both ways. You either have to allow Well, now all the decoders that were saying that Tucker was read in, or if he wasn't read in, that he was clearly working on behalf of Trump's plan. A lot of them on Twitter over the last week or two are saying, look, this is what happens when you turn against Trump, and he's making an example out of these people. And like, come on, guys, it's just embarrassing. Just admit that you don't know. Like, none of us knows. Also, I resent the implication of Plisco in chat saying BB is a Patrick Swayze fan. Dirty Dancing. You're damn right I'm a Patrick Swayze fan. That's supposed to be a bad thing?
Everybody wishes they could do the Dirty Dancing dance.
Yeah.
I know it's a little gay to say, but I stand by it. But yeah, one of my favorite like pastimes now, I probably spend 15 minutes every day doing this, is going through a list of some like the more popular Q accounts, people I've known, or some people I don't know personally. There's a good mix of all of them, but you go and you just do a keyword search of something that's in the news that day, and you look at what they're saying about it now, and then you go back 6 months or a year, or sometimes it's like every year, but it's just complete inversion of what they said before. Like when Tucker's a great example.
Opposite.
They used to say Tucker was on the team and then not on the team and then on the team and then not on the, like these people have no idea what the F they're talking about.
They used to say, if you trust elections, you're a fool. And now if you don't vote in the midterms, you're destroying the plan.
Yeah. It's
evergreen.
But it's a good example. Like the reason I do it is just, it's almost like a sanity check for myself, but it's a good example of the people and how they operate and why they operate the way they do, and it's all based on the social incentives of the moment. If they are going to get the most social incentives for hating on Tucker Carlson, they're going to hate on Tucker Carlson. If they get the most social incentives for loving Tucker Carlson and saying he's part of the plan, they are going to say that he's awesome and he's part of the plan. That is the only thing that drives their content. It is not any actual like form of, I'm going to try to figure out what's actually going on here. I might say some things that upset people, but based on like what I'm seeing, this is what I think is happening. That is never what they do. They only say the things that get them the flowers and whatnot in the moment. And none of them have a backbone. None of them have any consistency. It's just, it's amazing to see. I've started collecting files and like screenshots of these things because it's almost too perfect.
They're just consistent. You know what they're going to say about every single deployment.
Oh,
that's the consistency.
I have also caught people because like I've been screenshotting these things for a while, like going back years. Not always because I was going to like comparative stuff now. It's just like, oh, that's a weird take. I don't think I agree with that. I'm going to save that away for later. And those posts no longer exist. So when they turn out to be wrong, some of these people delete their shit, which is just absolutely embarrassing for them, even though nobody knows it but me. But they should be embarrassed. They're embarrassed for themselves. I know it. Anyway,
Air Force One comms hit every week, John. Virtually every day.
Week. We did get some more love over here. On YouTube, Pen W left another 10 jewels and a gold coin. And then another 10 jewels
any of this mean?
And a floating heart. I don't know, but I'm feeling the love. So 10 jewels in hiding. Don't know what that means. And then Geraldo, very generous of you, Geraldo, tonight. The last 4 years of Obama were a lot of psyops.
FIOPs.
I like FIOPs. Let's see. I'm going to start calling that. Regarding gun, do you believe these were real people dying? Lots of crisis actors. Ex-Boston Marathon, Sandy Brook, New York. Your opinion? I don't know. Here's the thing.
I certainly think there's psyops or psyacs, right? I can't confirm who did or didn't die. I certainly think a lot of these shootings have happened.
Yeah.
But I believe most of them. I think basically any way you slice it with most mass shootings, they are either psyacs from the get, or it ends up that the person who commits them was radicalized, even if they weren't brought into an MK Ultra program and radicalized that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they're basically not natural, maybe is the easiest way to say it.
A lot of psyops around these things. Every time a bad thing happens, there's an agenda behind it on both sides. Like everybody's trying to push their agenda. When it comes to shootings, I don't know for sure about any of them, whether they're real or fake. A lot of people like to jump to the thing it's fake. The one thing that I do have actual personal experience of is the Minneapolis shooting that took place at the school. I had multiple connections to it. First of all, one of my mom's best friends, her cousin had a daughter in school, in that school. And like one of the ones who got shot in the neck and survived, like I have pictures from the mom's phone. Like the mom sent the picture to the family and like sent it over to my mom. Like I have pictures that weren't released publicly of her in the hospital. And so like, I know that one was real. Like that one legitimately happened. And that's my own personal experience. But the rest of them I don't have those experiences for. So I can't say one or the other, but I tend to lean like bad things happen. Bad people exist. They do stupid, bad things. I'm not just going to rush to say those things were faked.
Well, my point is that I think a lot of times the bad things happening are, I would agree with the poster that they were happening a lot under Obama because they wanted the public mandate for gun control. So you're going to cause, the only thing better than a psyop entirely is a psyact. And that's when you've got a real event, but it was a manufactured event. And, you know, it turns out these things just kind of aren't happening nearly as much in this era for some reason.
Yeah. It's because the FBI has foiled 750 terrorist plots this year, BB. That's why. We got more on Rumble here. I think I said this. Kairos5326 gifted 5 subs, including one of them to my own girlfriend, so only slightly offended, but whatever. Keith O'Higgins, sad no anti-gravity Armageddon today. I was anticipating the convergence of 2 great colloquialisms. Because of the plethora of stupid windmills, I really wanted to see shit hit the fan as pigs fly. That's pretty good. That was great, Keith. Are you going to be in Vegas? Man, I know I met Keith in Vegas last time, and he's amazing. I hope he's there again.
Oh yeah, that was funny. He was exactly who I thought.
Yeah, he's one of those guys.
I was like, AI, take all of these rants and create a man. I was like, yep, it's that guy. Funny.
Kathy CTX says, good evening. Oh, wait, sorry. Keith Higgins, do you think Mike Lindell should push my rugs now? Don't vote harder, just step on and stand harder. He should. And I'm still waiting for the Gaza sheets, even though I said we were going to do those, but waging jihad on a bad night's sleep. Somebody's got to do it. Kathy CTX, good evening, John and BB. Dallas Badlanders are having a meetup this coming Sunday. All Badlanders are welcome. Info is on the events page, badlandsmedia.tv/events, Dallas Badlanders meetup. Yeah, I would encourage you guys to go to that. I would love to come down to a Dallas meetup one of these days. Go on a little vacay down to Dallas and hang out with you guys. So we'll figure something out. Keith Higgins says you guys can raid Jackie. She's Puerto Rican, not Mexican. I thought is she Puerto Rican?
Yeah. Who called her Mexican?
I don't know. But he said she's not Mexican. Now I feel like we should call her Mexican.
They're all the same to me. I mean,
we should try to get her deported, probably.
Splitting hairs there.
And then a Snowcat operator gifted a subscription to Ghost of Based Patrick Henry. Oh my goodness. This happens to everybody. I think I'm the only one subscribed to Badlands Media. But that's okay. Babbage 3. Oh, that's true. Don't tell anybody.
That's going to be the thing that takes you out. Not all the other lawsuits. It's that. They'll be like, did you
for $10 a month
You're acquitted on all charges, Mr. Herold, but there's a curious charge we wanted to ask you about. How much of this $3 after fees did you personally get the revenue share when you sent it to yourself through your shell company?
Yeah, too much or not enough. I don't know what the answer for that is. Babbage 3 sent over a rant, and it says, if you need an outro, it's a video of Josh and Alpha on their show, but I have a great outro for tonight lined up, so I will save this one. I'm going to watch it after the show, but I have a great outro. So anyway, you guys, thank you for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up here and on YouTube. Got to do it both places. Please do us a favor. BB, you're going to be on tomorrow. What's the movie?
The movie is, let me show people. It's called My Fellow Americans from 1996. It's a pretty funny one. I watched it last night. It's Jack Lemmon, James Garner, Dan Aykroyd, two former U.S. presidents, hated rivals, join forces to expose the current corrupt president at the risk of their lives. And it's a pretty fun one. I had really not seen many movies with these two guys, so that should be fun. Join me and Chris at 10:30 Thursday night.
That'll be good.
It's a short one. It's a short watch.
Well, that's awesome. Okay. I'll be back on tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern for the daily.
Did we get boosts? Did you grab?
I did get the boost.
Oh, okay.
I'll be on tomorrow 1 p.m. Eastern for the Daily Herald. Hopefully we'll have some more declassified docs to talk about. And with that, guys, we are going to get out of here with this great new AI video. You guys have a great rest of your evening. It's hump day. Make sure you go hump somebody. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, BB.
Princess Peach owns this castle. Princess Peach is really amazing. Let me tell you something. She is an amazing woman. I have captured her. He's a great penguin, and I love him, really. However, there's something very bad that could happen to him. He could be hurt very badly. Can I be honest with you? Let me be honest with you. We're going to bomb the shit out of him, Mario. They say this is the Rainbow Road. The Goomba said I would do very well as a homosexual. And I said, no way. I was told these docs are very dire. But you know what else is dire? The state of this great nation, the Mushroom Kingdom. To be honest, this is a shithole country, Mario. Look at this place. These are not good people. You know what we should call this place? Mario Lago. Mario Lago. Do you like that? Mario Lago. They tell me I'm just like Bowser, and I said, is that so bad?